that familiar knot in your stomach, the one. Perhaps it's before a pivotal presentation at work, or maybe the moment you grapple with a monumental life decision. Or maybe it's just that persistent feeling of being stuck.
Yeah.
In a rut you can't seem to escape.
Yeah, it's a really universal human experience, isn't it? That sense of fear or indecision, sometimes even, anger.
Right, anger at circumstances or even yourself. It touches all of us, often maybe more profoundly than we realize.
Indeed. From, the smallest daily anxieties like worrying about being late to those huge life-defining moments, fear often shows up as this barrier. Feels immovable sometimes.
It really does. And we all encounter it, and the isolating nature of these struggles can make us feel like we're navigating them completely alone. Well, the good news is you absolutely are not alone, and you certainly don't have to stay stuck there.
Right.
Today, we're embarking on a deep dive into some truly powerful dynamic techniques. Our mission: to transform that very fear, that nagging indecision, and yes, even that simmering anger,
into something else entirely.
Exactly. Into genuine power, decisive action, and ultimately a profound sense of love.
And our guide on this journey is Susan Jeffers and her groundbreaking work, Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway.
It really is groundbreaking. It's not just a book. It feels more like a revolutionary toolkit, doesn't it? A practical guide for, fearless living.
It absolutely is. We've gathered some really insightful excerpts from her text, and we're also looking at reviews and Jeffers' own transformative journey.
All designed to give you the clearest, most actionable understanding.
Our specific mission here, in this deep dive, is to pull out the most practical nuggets, the surprising bits, the things you can use right away.
We want to equip you with not just understanding, but with tangible tools. A clear, detailed roadmap almost.
Yeah, a roadmap that can empower you to navigate life's inevitable challenges with hopefully a newfound sense of confidence, inner strength, and unwavering clarity. So let's unpack this.
Okay, let's truly unpack this feeling that we all share. Our source material, right from the get-go, makes a really striking observation. That fear seems, quote, epidemic in our society.
That's a strong word. Epidemic.
It is. And when you really pause to consider that, doesn't it resonate deeply? It lists a whole host of common anxieties. Public speaking is a huge one for so many people.
Oh, absolutely.
Then there's asserting yourself, making big decisions, intimacy, changing jobs, being alone, aging.
Even things like driving or the fear of losing loved ones, ending relationships. It's a long list.
It is. And what's fascinating, as Jeffers points out, is that for many people, it's not just some of the above. Often it's all of the above.
Yeah, and fear has this insidious kind of cascading quality, doesn't it? The author really details how it's not isolated, it's not contained. Yeah. It seeps into so many areas of our lives. Like, if you have a fear of making new friends, that can quickly spiral. Suddenly you dread parties, maybe you hesitate in relationships, even applying for jobs becomes daunting because they all require reaching out, stepping into the unknown.
It's like a domino effect, isn't it? A quiet undercurrent in so many parts of our lives.
Definitely.
You might think, I'm just scared of public speaking. But that one fear could be subtly influencing your willingness to take on leadership roles or network or even just speak up in a meeting.
Exactly. It feels like this unseen force shaping our decisions.
Which leads us to a really compelling part of the source material. Susan Jeffers' own intensely personal story with fear. This isn't just theory for her.
No, not at all. It's born from lived experience. She's very open about how in her younger years she was constantly run by fear. She describes herself clinging to situations that just weren't working.
And she talks about this relentless internal chatterbox. That voice inside.
Oh, that voice. We all know that one.
Yeah. The one that whispers or sometimes shouts those debilitating things. You'd better not change your situation. There's nothing else out there for you. You'll never make it on your own.
Or don't take a chance. You might make a mistake. Boy, will you be sorry.
It's almost startlingly relatable, that internal doubt.
It really is. It's like a constant loop of self-sabotage.
And her turning point, as she describes it, is so visceral. She looked in the mirror one day, saw her eyes red and puffy from crying.
Self-pity, resignation.
Exactly. And that raw sight sparked this rage inside her. She just started shouting at her reflection, enough, enough, enough.
Wow.
Until she was exhausted. And in that moment, something shifted. A new voice emerged, one of strength, love, even joy.
That sounds like a pivotal moment.
It was. It sparked her odyssey, as she calls it, a deliberate journey to rid herself of negativism and fundamentally change her life.
And what's so remarkable is that this deeply personal transformation wasn't just for her. No, it became the foundation for her teaching. She developed a course at the New School for Social Research in New York City called Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway.
Which really validated her core belief, right? That these processes, born from her own struggle, could actually be taught, applied by anyone.
Precisely. Her personal struggle became a kind of detailed blueprint for others.
Which brings us beautifully to her breakdown of fear into 3 distinct levels. This is a really useful framework.
It really is. It helps understand the anatomy of anxiety, moving beyond just the surface symptoms.
Okay, so level 1, she calls these surface story fears. These are the specific, tangible ones we can easily point to.
Right. And she breaks them down further into 2 types. First, those that just happen to us, external things often beyond our control.
Like aging, illness, retirement, being alone, kids leaving home.
Natural disasters, financial worries, losing loved ones, even bigger things like war or accidents, things that feel like they happen to us.
Okay, and the second type within level 1.
Those requiring action. These are situations where our agency is called upon.
Going back to school, making big decisions, changing careers, making friends.
Starting or ending relationships, going to the doctor, asserting yourself, losing weight, public speaking again, or just the fear of making a mistake. Contexts where we have to initiate something.
Got it. But then she says we need to dig deeper. Level 2.
Yes, level 2. Ego-related fears.
Yeah.
These aren't about specific situations anymore. They're more internalized, tied to our sense of self, our capabilities.
So things like, I can't handle the responsibilities of success.
Exactly. Or the flip side, I can't handle failure. Or I can't handle being rejected. It's about our perceived competence and resilience, really.
Facing outcomes, good or bad.
And this excavation leads us to the absolute core, level 3.
The ultimate underlying fear.
Which she identifies simply as, I can't handle it.
Yeah.
This is the monumental aha moment Jeffers presents. The truly profound, liberating revelation is that you can handle all your fears without having to control anything in the outside world.
Wow. Say that again. Without controlling anything external.
Exactly. It's an immense relief because it shifts the focus completely. Away from external circumstances, which are often unpredictable, right, uncontrollable, and onto your own internal capacity, your resilience. You stop exhausting yourself trying to control your partner, your kids, your boss, the stock market.
You realize the power is actually within you to handle whatever comes your way.
Precisely. It resides entirely within you.
Okay, so we've nailed down that core fear. I can't handle it. Now let's pivot to 2 foundational truths Jeffers introduces. And at first glance, they might seem a bit, well, disappointing.
Yeah, they can land that way initially, but upon reflection, they're incredibly liberating. They really form the bedrock of her whole approach.
So the first truth, it's very direct.
It is. The fear is not going to go away.
Oof. Okay.
The source material says, I'm sorry to say that it doesn't work that way. Jeffers apparently shared this with her students, and they were initially bummed out, hoping for some magic spell,
To just make it disappear.
Poof. Right. But the reality is, that's not how it works. And here's the shift. Instead of seeing it as a disappointment, consider it a relief.
A relief. How is persistent fear a relief? That feels counterintuitive.
Because it frees you. It frees you from the exhausting and ultimately futile task of trying to eliminate fear completely. Think about how much energy we spend trying to avoid fear, suppress it, banish it. Jeffers says as you build your inner confidence, your relationship with fear changes dramatically.
It's still there, but it doesn't paralyze you.
Exactly. It becomes just a sensation, a feeling that surfaces, but it doesn't hold that power over you anymore. It's like that image, can't you make it go away? And the answer is no, but that no is actually what unlocks your freedom to move forward anyway.
That really is a game changer. It shifts the whole focus. Stop fighting the feeling. Focus on your response.
Spot on. Which leads perfectly into the second foundational truth.
Which seems contradictory at first, but you're saying it's complementary.
Entirely complementary. The second truth is, the only way to get rid of the fear of doing something is to go out and do it.
Okay, so the doing comes before the fear goes away.
Yes. It's proactive, not reactive.
That's so counter to how we usually think, isn't it?
Yeah.
We assume we need to feel confident, feel ready, feel fearless before we act.
Right. Our default is wait until the fear is gone. But Jeffers argues it's the other way around.
Can you give us her own experience that illustrates this?
Yeah.
Because it's a powerful idea.
Sure. She talks about her very first teaching experience. She was doing her doctorate, had to teach the psychology of aging, a subject she felt pretty unqualified for at the time.
Okay.
The anticipation filled her with tremendous dread. For 3 days beforehand, her stomach was like a roller coaster. She massively overprepared, wrote like 8 hours of material for a 1-hour class.
Wow. Classic overcompensation due to fear.
Totally. On the day itself, she felt like she was being sent to the guillotine, heart pounding, knees shaking.
Sounds terrifying, but she got through it.
Somehow, yeah. She got through it. And here's the transformational part.
Yes.
The more she taught, the easier it became. And that overwhelming fear she initially felt, it started to dissolve.
So the action itself diminished the fear.
Precisely. It illustrates her core point perfectly. Real confidence isn't something that exists before you act. It's built through the action.
So the fact that you have the fear becomes almost irrelevant once you choose to act from that place of inner power.
Exactly. The fear might still be there, riding shotgun, but by taking action anyway, you paradoxically loosen its grip.
That makes so much sense. It's not about being fearless. It's about acting despite the fear. Okay, let's switch gears slightly to the concept of power. That word itself can be, well, loaded.
Very loaded. The source material points out it often has negative connotations, implying control or dominance over others.
Yeah, it gets misused a lot.
And particularly for women, as the source notes, there's often this conditioning that being powerful is somehow unfeminine or unattractive, creates an internal conflict.
So how does Jeffers redefine it? What's true power in her framework?
She defines it very clearly as power within the self. That's the crucial distinction.
Internal power, okay. What does that look like?
It means power over your perceptions, power over how you react to things, power to do what's necessary for your own growth.
Power to create joy and satisfaction in your own life?
Yes, the power to act, and maybe most importantly, the power to love. It's a comprehensive internal shift.
So to be clear, this has nothing to do with controlling other people or external situations.
Absolutely nothing. This power is entirely self-contained. It's not egomania. It's a healthy, profound self-love. It's basically the ability to get yourself to do what you want to do.
And if you don't cultivate this internal power,
then you lose your sense of peace. You remain vulnerable, constantly reacting to external forces. Owning this internal power frees you from expecting the world to fulfill you because you know you have that capacity within yourself.
it's about reclaiming agency from the inside out. All right, we've unpacked the nature of fear, redefined powers as internal. Now let's get into the practical, actionable tools Jeffers offers. How do we actually shift our mindset and get into action?
This is where it gets really hands-on. First up is the pain to power chart and a really transformative vocabulary that goes with it.
A chart and a vocabulary.
The chart is basically a visual roadmap. It shows the move from emotional pain or feeling stuck to empowered action and peace. And the core insight here is about language.
The words we use.
Exactly. The words we habitually use, consciously or unconsciously, have a huge impact on our lives. Some words are disempowering, destructive even. Others are liberating.
So it's about a really conscious linguistic shift. Let's break down some examples because the details matter here. First, the shift from I can't to I won't seems subtle, but big psychological impact.
Massive impact. I can't implies helplessness, victimhood, no control. But just saying I won't puts it firmly in the realm of choice, personal decision. Jeffers points out that when you tell your subconscious I can't repeatedly, it registers weak, weak, weak.
Wow.
Think about declining a dinner invitation, saying, oh, I can't come, I have to prep for a meeting. Your subconscious hears weakness. The deeper truth is often, I can come, but I'm choosing to prioritize something else.
So shifting to I won't reclaims that agency.
Exactly. It's acknowledging your choice.
That's such a powerful reframe. Just changing one word. Okay, what about I should versus I could?
I should is another one Jeffers calls a loser word.
Yeah.
It implies obligation, external pressure, no real choice. It often brings guilt and drains your power.
The tyranny of the shoulds.
Totally. But I could is much more empowering. Instead of feeling burdened by I should visit my mother, you reframe it. I could visit my mother, or I could choose to go to the movies.
It puts you back in the driver's seat.
Right. You're in control of the choice. Even if you decide to visit your mother, framing it as, I can visit my mother or go to the movies, I think I'll choose my mother today, maintains your internal power, autonomy.
Okay. And then the big one, it's not my fault versus I'm totally responsible. People really struggle with taking responsibility sometimes, often confusing it with blame.
That's the critical distinction. It's not my fault puts you in a helpless victim role, no agency. Jeffers argues it's always more empowering to take responsibility for whatever happens.
Or how is that not blaming yourself?
Because it's not about blame, it's about recognizing your agency in the situation, or crucially, your power to choose your response. If you say, it's not my fault I got sick, you're stuck as a victim. But if you say, I'm totally responsible for my illness, that opens the door to the empowering question, what can I do to prevent this from happening again?
So it shifts focus to future action.
Exactly. It empowers you to change future outcomes, adjust your diet, reduce stress, get more sleep. Same applies to losing a job. Taking responsibility lets you learn from it, be better prepared next time. It reduces fear by putting you in control.
That completely flips the script from passive victimhood to active agency. But is there a risk this slides into self-blame? How does Jeffers guard against that?
Good question. She's very clear. Anything that takes away your power or pleasure makes you a victim, and the goal is never to become a victim of yourself. Self-blame is disempowering. Taking responsibility is empowering because it focuses on future action, not past fault.
Okay.
She shares her own experience with playing the victim role, especially in relationships with men. She talks about being part of a moan and groan society with girlfriends.
Oh dear, the complaint circle.
Right, where they just commiserate about men. The unconscious payoff, she realized, was that they didn't have to create their own happiness. They could just blame men for not providing it.
That's insightful. Finding comfort in shared misery or an excuse for inaction?
Yeah.
How did she break that pattern?
Now, when she feels anger towards her husband, she asks herself a powerful question. What am I not doing in my life that I could be doing that I'm blaming him for not doing for me?
Wow, that's direct.
It forces introspection. Identify your own insecurities, unfulfilled actions, unmet needs, maybe an obsession with money, general insecurity, not creating enough fulfilling activities, expecting him to fix everything. And crucially, once she actively addresses what needs handling in her own life, the anger towards others just disappears. Her marriage became amazing, she says, when she stopped expecting him to handle her life.
That's profound. So much of our unhappiness with others can be a projection of our own stuff.
Yeah.
Another powerful concept she covers is understanding the hidden payoffs for staying stuck.
Yes, understanding these is critical. They explain why we unconsciously keep doing things we say we don't want to do. Once you see the hidden benefit, the illogical behavior makes sense.
Like Jean, her student stuck in the boring job.
Exactly. Jean felt like a victim, always playing the if-only game, if only the job market was better, if only I had better skills.
But what were the hidden, unconscious payoffs for staying put?
Several. She didn't have to face questioning her own competence by looking for something new. She could put in minimal effort, and the job, however boring, felt secure.
The devil you know.
Right. Once she saw these unconscious benefits, she had clear choices. Stay miserable, choose to stay and find ways to enjoy it, or look for a new job. She ended up finding a new job, but only after recognizing the unconscious choices she'd been making.
And Tanya, the one who was always sick, saw herself as a poor thing. What were her payoffs?
Tanya initially couldn't see any payoffs, but her support group helped her realize her illness got her a lot of attention. And importantly, it shielded her from putting herself out there taking risks, facing challenges.
It was a protective mechanism learned from childhood.
Yes, an unconscious manipulation for attention. Becoming aware of this was the catalyst she needed. She changed her diet, joined a health club, and asked people to reward her, give her attention only when she was well, and ignore her when sick.
Wow, that takes courage.
It does. She stopped being a passive observer and became an active participant, and the chronic sickness stopped being an issue.
These examples really show how insidious unconscious self-sabotage can be. Identifying the payoff gives you the power to choose differently. So building on this, how do we move from just reacting to actively shaping our lives?
The next step in taking responsibility is figuring out what you genuinely want and then acting on it. Jeffers encourages us to actively sculpt our lives, not just accept what comes and complain.
Define your desired living space, friends, health.
Yes. Clearly identify what you want, then take tangible action to create it. Don't wait for the perfect mate, job, or friends to magically appear. You have the power to create what you need.
And at its core, it all comes back to being consciously aware of the choices we're making, moment by moment.
Exactly. One of her students described their morning routine. From the time my alarm clock rings, I realize it's all up to me what the day is going to start like.
Choice. Open the shades or stay in the dark.
Listen to music or negative news. Positive self-talk or groaning about work.
So every moment, we're choosing how we feel, where we focus our energy. It sounds detailed, maybe a bit daunting.
It is a practice, and Jeffers stresses that. When difficulty arises, you can tune in and consciously choose. Okay, choose. Misery or contentment, scarcity or abundance. Put yourself down or acknowledge the insecurity and address it.
The choice is always yours.
Always. It's a long process, requires daily, detailed practice, but the key, she assures us, is simply to begin. You'll start feeling a difference right away.
Okay, so we're deep into consciously changing our internal narrative, making deliberate choices. How do we keep that going? How do we make it stick? The source material really emphasizes the need for a consistent practice with positive thinking.
It's a great analogy she uses, likens it to physical exercise. You wouldn't get fit and then just stop working out, right? Expecting the muscle tone to just stay there.
No, of course not.
The intellect is the same. Stop stimulating it, stop challenging it, and it gets soggy, as she puts it. So a positive mental attitude needs constant, deliberate reinforcement. It's a muscle you have to train daily.
And this isn't just theory. It's a non-negotiable practice for successful people.
Absolutely. Jeffers talks about the Inside Edge, this group of highly successful, positive people. Many are best-selling self-help authors. They meet weekly at 6:15 a.m. for inspiration and support.
6:15 a.m.
Wow. Right. These are people who've seemingly mastered self-help, yet they still meet. Why? Because they know they need to practice positive thinking themselves and surround themselves with other positive people. They admit they feel off if they miss even one session.
That's a powerful testament to consistency and environment. And she makes a relatable comparison, right? Like showering or shaving.
Exactly. Everyday routines we don't resist because they're refreshing. Positive thinking, she argues, is just as refreshing and essential for well-being. It's about retraining your mind, creating a detailed exercise program for your thoughts.
Okay, so what are the practical tools she recommends having ready to make this easier and hopefully enjoyable?
Okay, the toolkit. First, a portable audio player, iPod, CD player, whatever works for you.
For on-the-go listening. Got it.
Second, a library of self-help audios, calming meditation tapes, or just uplifting music that really resonates with you.
Things that genuinely make you feel good.
Third, her specific feel the fear and do it anyway. Affirmation tapes or CDs. Fourth, a stack of index cards or post-it notes.
Simple but effective.
And fifth, a collection of positive quotes that really speak to you.
Positive quotes. That feels like a really accessible strategy.
Yeah, find ones that genuinely connect. She gives examples like, ships in harbor are safe, but that's not what ships are built for, John Shedd.
Liar.
Or Helen Keller, the best way out is always through, Gertrude Stein. Considering how dangerous everything is, nothing is really very frightening.
I like that one.
And of course, her own mantra, feel the fear and do it anyway. The strategy is write these down, put them everywhere, mirrors, desk, fridge, car, diary, change them up as new ones resonate.
Constant visual reminders.
Okay.
And the sixth tool, affirmations. She calls them self-talk in its highest form.
Yes, affirmations are key. An affirmation, Jeffers defines, is a concise, positive statement that something empowering is already happening or true right now.
Not in the future, but now.
Exactly. Not what will happen or what you hope happens, declaring what is true now. Examples. I am breaking through old patterns. I relax knowing I can handle it all. I am powerful and I am loving and I have nothing to fear.
And the rules for using them. Present tense, positive phrasing.
Crucial rules. Always present tense, always positive. So not, I will handle my fears, but I am now handling my fears. Not, I am no longer putting myself down, but I am becoming more confident every day. That framing is key for the subconscious.
Got it. So with all these tools, how do we weave them into a daily routine? What's the practical, detailed action plan to consistently out-talk that negativity?
It starts the moment you wake up. Listen to a motivational audio immediately.
Okay, before even getting out of bed.
Yeah. Then, as you get up, consciously look at those positive quotes you've placed around. While dressing, play uplifting music that makes your heart sing. And start repeating your affirmations, ideally in front of a mirror, for at least 10 minutes.
10 minutes in the mirror. Okay.
And keep repeating them throughout the day. Every time negativity tries to creep in, you have to constantly, consciously replace it. Out-talk your negativity.
Even simple things like breakfast can be repurposed.
Absolutely. Instead of the news, which is often full of negativity and fear, read an inspirational self-help book. She did an experiment with students who stopped watching news, and they were amazed at the positive difference.
Their conversations changed.
Became more constructive, sharing positive ideas instead of complaining about world problems. And if you exercise, use affirmations then too. I can feel the energy coursing through my body, maximize the benefit.
It sounds like a total immersion in positivity, building a new internal environment. What's the ultimate outcome of this consistent practice?
Well, nobody's immune to pain, and you don't deny it. But positive thinking gives you that crucial power boost to handle challenges robustly.
So your bad breaks don't dominate.
Exactly. They're overshadowed by your resilience, your indomitable strength. And when you deeply experience that strength, the kind that comes from consciously choosing empowering thoughts, you genuinely find you can handle your fears from a position of true power, the kind of internal power that actually makes good things happen.
It's a meticulous shift from passive victim to empowered architect of your internal world. Okay, so you're doing the work, cultivating this positive mindset, expanding your comfort zone.
Yeah.
But then what happens when the people closest to you don't exactly cheer you on? Maybe they even resist the new you.
Ah, yes, when they don't want you to grow. This is incredibly common and often really painful.
Yeah, I can imagine.
As you adopt a more positive attitude, make changes, you might suddenly feel something's amiss in your relationships. Jeffers says you need to take a hard, honest look at your circle.
Ask yourself, do they support my growth or drag me down?
Do you feel uplifted around them or contaminated by negativity? Are they excited about your transformation or do they kind of prefer the old you? If it's the latter, it might be time to consider adjusting those relationships.
That's tough, especially with longtime friends. People feel guilty leaving old friends behind.
It's understandable, but Jeffers says that guilt is totally unwarranted. You might unconsciously assume they can't cope without you in the old dynamic, which is actually kind of demeaning to them.
Good point.
The reality is, as you step away from the moan and groan society, her term for complaint circles, they will find new company. That society persists. Your friends will find a home there. Seeing it that way helps lessen the guilt.
That's a blunt but honest take on social dynamics. But there's also the hope, right, that your growth could be infectious.
Inspire others.
Absolutely. That's the win-win scenario. Your new energy, your sense of purpose might awaken friends to new possibilities in their own lives. They might join you on the journey.
So how do you tell the difference between support and sabotage? You listen carefully. Supportive sounds like, that's fantastic, you'll do beautifully. Go for it. Fear-based sabotage sounds like, aren't you taking a big risk? You'll never make it. Why rock the boat?
When you hear that second kind consistently.
That's your cue. Time to create some conscious emotional distance.
Which logically leads to the need for a strong support system. If you're letting go of old connections, you need new, affirming ones.
It's incredibly important, as the source says, to have a support group or a growth buddy. Could be an established group or just conscious friends committed to their own evolution.
And you have to create this system. It won't just appear.
You have to make the effort. Keep dialing, Jeffers says, even if you face rejection. People are often flattered you're interested, and her advice, pick someone you see as a few steps ahead of you, someone whose growth you admire.
Now, what about family opposition? That can be even trickier than friends. Spouses, especially, can resist a partner's growth. The source has some striking examples.
Yes, let's look at Doris and her husband. When Doris, after years of dependency, started going out, becoming independent, her husband got upset.
Why? What were his reasons?
Complex reasons. Fear of losing control over her, genuine, maybe misplaced worry for her safety out in the world, and significantly, an unconscious fear of no longer being needed now that she was capable on her own. He'd gotten used to her neediness.
Then there's Rona and Bill. That story is dramatic.
Rona lost 250 pounds, transformed physically and emotionally. Bill struggled intensely. He tried to undermine her, accusing her of flirting, withholding intimacy, even buying her fattening food.
Wow, that's active sabotage.
It became a battleground. Bill couldn't adapt, chose to end the marriage. Ironically, Jeffers notes he felt the fear and did it anyway by leaving because he couldn't handle her evolution.
And Roger, whose wife got her doctorate.
He was proud of his little student, but when she surpassed his master's degree, the dynamic shifted. Put down started, communication failed, and tragically, he had an affair with someone who hadn't even gone to college.
So often, this resistance stems from the partner's own fear of change, loss of control, not necessarily malice.
That's Jeffers' point. It's often about their own insecurities projected outward.
It's risky to rock the boat in a relationship. But staying stuck to avoid upsetting a partner often leads to resentment anyway, right?
Exactly. It strains the relationship eventually. Jeffers' core belief here is empowering. Believe that your mate wants what is best for you and that he or she will ultimately love the positive changes in you.
So assume the best first.
Yes. Often, your partner might feel relieved by your newfound power. It lessens their burden. Most people want loved ones to be strong and happy, but, she adds, if your mate fundamentally prefers you needy and helpless, well, then you have to ask if that's a relationship you want to be in.
And it's not just spouses. Parents, kids can resist too. Jeffers experienced this herself when she went back to college.
She vividly recalls her mother asking how she could leave her children. Her husband resented her having a separate life. Her kids used guilt trips. Even friends sometimes sided with the family.
She calls this the pendulum syndrome.
Yes, resistance is a given when you rock the boat. It's their way of defending their own security, often unconsciously. They think their warnings are for your own good.
So how do you respond, especially to family, in a win-win way, not confrontational?
She gives a great example. Mom says, you'll never make it out there on your own. Lose-lose response. Mind your own business.
Right. Defensive.
Win-win response. Thank you for your concern, Mom, but I have so much faith in myself. I know that whatever comes up, I'll handle it. I'd like you to have more faith in me, too. It would really help me a lot.
Wow. Confident, empathetic, states your need clearly.
Exactly. Expresses confidence, even if you're acting as if. Communicates your need for support without attacking. The implied approach for a husband's criticism is similar.
What's the underlying cause of the hostility or guilt we feel when others resist?
Often, it's our deep-seated need for external approval. Getting upset or defensive is a clue we're still operating like a child seeking validation. Guilt is another clue, often masking anger at ourselves for not breaking unhealthy ties and anger at others for not supporting us.
It comes back to unhealthy emotional attachments.
Right. The lashing out comes from that desire for validation.
Ultimately, how do others respond to genuine inner strength?
Jeffers says powerfully, inner strength is respected. We get back what we put out. The most important thing is to be your own best friend. Follow your own path of growth. The path of the heart.
And loved ones will eventually understand and respect that authenticity.
Usually, yes. And if, in rare cases, they can't or won't, your new strength gives you the fortitude to gracefully break unhealthy ties and build new, healthier ones. It's about taking total control of your life.
Okay, once you start embracing this empowered self, you inevitably face more decisions. Big ones, small ones. And for many, indecision itself is a huge source of fear, paralysis.
Yeah, the source uses that great image. Like the proverbial donkey between two bales of hay, unable to decide which one I want, and in the meantime, starving to death.
It's poignant, isn't it? The irony is, by not choosing, we are choosing.
Choosing to starve ourselves of fulfillment, of vibrancy. The root cause of this paralysis is usually that intense fear of making a wrong decision. Plus, our need to be perfect to control the outcome.
We think a wrong decision will cost us something essential: money, friends, status.
Right. But Jeffers flips this with her no-lose model for decision-making.
A no-lose model. How could it be impossible to make a wrong decision? That seems radical.
It is a revolutionary perspective. In this model, every decision, every choice is fundamentally seen as an opportunity to learn and grow. You literally only gain something regardless of the immediate outcome.
So it's not about avoiding mistakes, but extracting wisdom from every experience.
Exactly. Take Alex, the example in the source. He committed to his education, faced setbacks, lost fellowship, delays. But each step, regardless of outcome, taught him to trust himself, to provide for his own needs.
So his whole approach to future decisions changed.
Became empowered, energetic, exciting, because he knew he could handle whatever life threw at him.
That's a massive reframe. Failure becomes guaranteed learning, like a built-in wisdom safety net. Expert. For someone who's spent a lifetime avoiding wrong choices, what are the first practical steps to embrace this?
Good question. Step 1, just make a decision. Choose a path. The act of choosing breaks the paralysis.
Just commit to something.
Okay.
Step 2.
Do your homework. Talk to people with experience or insight, professionals. But crucially, Jeffers says, seek feedback from the right people.
Meaning people who support your learning and growth.
Yes. Not people who deflate possibilities or instill fear. She quotes a teacher, "First time, shame on you. Second time, shame on me." If you keep going back to negative people, that's on you. You want people who say, "I think it's terrific you're considering."
What about the fear of looking like a failure if plans don't work out? People hesitate to even talk about aspirations because of that.
That's a critical hurdle. Jeffers says never hesitate to talk about plans out of fear of looking like a failure. Her core message, you're not a failure if you don't make it. You're a success because you try.
Easier said than done sometimes.
True. But she shares her own publishing journey, decided to publish poems, knew nothing about the industry, so she talked to everyone, took courses, cold called publishers, got rejection after rejection.
But she kept talking about her career as a writer, even with the rejections. That's key.
Yes. Eventually shifted gears, self-published a guidebook for women on job hunting. Those many false starts, the rejections, pivots, were invaluable steps, making her more and more ready for her eventual career in self-help.
So talking about it clarified her intention.
And yielded information and connections. It solidified her direction, even though the outcome was different from the original vision.
Okay, the third practical step, establish your priorities. This sounds like it needs deeper introspection.
It does. Requires real soul-searching to discover what truly brings you satisfaction, not just what you think you should pursue. And goals change, so you need to reassess.
And allow for confusion in the process.
Yes. It is through confusion that you finally come to clarity. Confusion means you're starting to pay attention to who you are, not just who you've been told to be.
What about trusting intuition, even if it defies logic?
Absolutely crucial. Jeffers tells that story about her subconscious overriding her logic. An inexplicable pull to go to the new school, never been there, no reason, walks into the human relations department, blurts out she's there to teach a course on overcoming fear.
And that's exactly what they needed on the deadline day.
Precisely. That right feeling, guided by intuition, led to a major career shift. It shows your subconscious, your higher self, knows what you can handle and can guide you.
So life isn't a fixed path. It's more like an ongoing curriculum.
Exactly that perspective. View life as being enrolled at a university. Every experience, every challenge is a lesson. Path A, path B, different lessons like geology versus geometry.
The specific path doesn't ultimately matter as long as you're learning and growing.
Right. So lighten up. Whatever happens from your decision, trust you'll handle it.
Okay, so what happens after you make the decision? The work isn't over. First step, she says, is throw away your picture.
Yes, vital step. We all create mental pictures, expectations of how things should turn out. Once the decision's made, let that fixed picture go.
Why? Because you can't control the future.
Exactly. Holding rigidly to a vision leads to disappointment if things don't align perfectly. Clinging blinds you to unexpected opportunities, silver linings that might be better than your original plan.
You miss enjoying the way it is because you're focused on how it's supposed to be.
Or how it could blossom into something unexpected and wonderful.
And if the path no longer feels right, it's okay to change direction, even after investing time, energy, money. That's hard for people.
It is, especially in a culture that prizes sticking things out. If you spent 5 years on a career path and it's not right anymore, people might say time wasted, money down the drain. But Jeffers argues none of it is wasted. It was the right path then. You gained experience, knowledge. Why keep investing if it's no longer paying off in growth or fulfillment? Your whole life's quality is at stake.
This reminds me of Stuart Emery's inertial guidance system analogy for changing course.
It's brilliant. An airplane system constantly corrects to stay on course. The pilot said they arrive on time despite being in error 90% of the time, constantly making tiny corrections.
So apply that to life.
The path from here to where we want to be starts with an error, which we correct, which becomes the next error, which we correct. The trick isn't worrying about wrong decisions, it's learning when to correct.
It's dynamic, always moving, learning, adapting.
Which means, in this framework, mistakes aren't really mistakes.
Just data points for learning.
Exactly. Impossible to make a mistake if every experience is a learning opportunity. Think of the researcher failing 200 times but discovering 200 ways not to do something.
Or the baseball player hitting .40 still misses 6 out of 10 times, but that's champion level.
Right. Most of us are beginners, and that's okay.
So what are some tangible tools or phrases for after the decision to stay in that empowered mindset?
To cultivate lightness and trust, put up signs. So what? I'll handle it.
Ha. I like that. Bold.
It helps you lighten up, reinforces trust in your ability to handle outcomes. Also, stay aware of clues you might be off course. When you see them, create a game plan to correct.
Action, learning, correction. Continuous loop.
That's the heart of the no-lose approach.
We've covered navigating fear, language shifts, comfort zones, no-lose decisions. Now let's talk about how a balanced life can actually diminish fear. This brings us to Jeffers' idea of one-dimensional living versus the whole life grid.
This is so critical for long-term resilience. Jeffers details how putting all your emotional eggs in one basket, an all-consuming relationship, a single identity-defining job, even making kids your sole reason for existence, creates this extreme neediness.
And the danger is,
If that single foundation is lost or changes, it leads to devastation, profound emptiness.
can you give us some examples of how that plays out?
Take Louise. Her relationship was the totality of her life. When it ended, devastation and a desperate sense of emptiness. Her whole identity felt wiped out.
And that dependency probably wasn't great for the relationship itself.
Often leads to unattractive side effects. Jeffers notes anger, jealousy, clinging, nagging, all stemming from fear of losing the thing you see as your entire identity.
Okay. And Bob, whose job was everything.
When he lost his job in cutbacks. Devastation, extreme helplessness, thoughts of suicide. His entire lifeline, his purpose, gone. For many, work is so central that retirement feels like the end, leading to despair.
And Jean, the housewife who made her kids her reason to exist.
She thought she was a good mother, prioritizing them above all, but Jeffers says this led to overprotectiveness, needing to dominate their lives, creating massive amounts of guilt in the kids.
So when they left home,
She felt the house was totally empty, mirroring her internal emptiness. Her kids carried the unfair burden of her emotional survival. All three, Louise, Bob, Jean, shared this extreme sense of neediness, vulnerability born from imbalance.
so how do we avoid that trap? Build a life that's resilient to loss and change.
By cultivating the whole life grid, Jeffers uses Nancy as an example. Her life grid is filled with diverse sources of nourishment and aliveness.
So if Nancy loses a relationship,
It creates a hole, brings pain, absolutely, but it hardly wipes her out. She has so many other areas of nourishment. Her life continues functioning beautifully. This balance reduces neediness and thus reduces the fear of loss.
and the key to filling this grid, Jeffers says, is commitment. What does that mean here?
Commitment means giving 100% your full attention and energy to each box on your grid. When you're at work, work fully. With family, be 100% present. With friends, be 100% there. Full engagement, full presence everywhere.
Even in situations you don't love or see as permanent, like a temporary job, how do you commit 100% to that?
Great question. Jeffers uses Sandy, a student with a boring temp job. Jeffers explained commitment isn't permanence. It doesn't mean forever. But while you are there, commit 100%. This improves the quality of your life by 100%.
So what did Sandy do?
Took it to heart, brought a plant, a painting for her desk, complimented coworkers, set daily goals. She got addicted to checking off her goals, got more done, started actually enjoying the job.
Wow, it eliminated the boredom.
And boosted self-esteem, got her a good reference, and proved she could make a difference right where she was. Acting as if she counted and loved the work created real benefits.
Incredible transformation. And this applies everywhere, even transitioning out of a job.
Yes. Jeffers herself, leaving the floating hospital, stayed totally committed, broke in her replacement, delegated, ensured a smooth transition. It laid groundwork for her next career. Same with relationships. Give 100% while you're there. If it ends, nothing to regret. You gave your all.
One vital box Jeffers highlights is contribution. Why is that so key for reducing fear?
Contribution lets you make your unique difference in the world. It's a huge source of self-esteem and satisfaction. Knowing you can make a meaningful difference, however small, proves you're not helpless. You're a meaningful force, reduces fear.
Okay, how do we practically start incorporating this whole life grid?
Step 1. Recognize if you're in a vicious cycle, like constantly trying to replace what you lost, substituting heads in relationships. Awareness is first.
Okay, step 2.
Physically create your own 9-box grid.
Yeah.
Fill it with what's important to your life: relationship, work, family, friends, leisure, contribution, personal growth, spirituality, etc. Do it in a calm space. Reflect.
And then apply the magic duo.
Steps 3 and 4. Pick one box. Visualize in detail what you want it to look and feel like. How would you act? Then apply the magic duo. 100% commitment and acting as if.
Example for friends.
Visualize inviting them over, creating a great evening, writing appreciation letters. When with them, focus on being a wonderful friend, acting as if you make a real difference. This brings fulfillment back to you.
Leisure is tough for many, feeling guilty for relaxing.
Yes, but commit 100% to relaxation. Act as if your well-being counts. Enjoy time alone without guilt. Jeffers created the Holly Hour, an hour a day just to relax. Found she got her best ideas then.
So apply this to every box.
Yeah.
Systematically.
That's step 5. To cultivate a rich, full, loving, giving life.
And finally, Create daily goals reflecting all the boxes.
While some days one area takes precedence, vacation, big project, the aim is overall balance over time. Jeffers motivates with, if you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always got.
If motivation's hard.
Find a group or buddy. Commit to homework for accountability. See a professional if needed. Keep asking yourself, how whole is my life? The goal is richness, completeness, so you have little to fear. Your well-being is spread across many strong pillars.
We've covered action, mindset, balance, but there's a deeper layer, isn't there? Tapping into fundamental sources of power, love, trust. And this starts by confronting our ideas about giving.
Yes. This section reveals a profound illusion. Jeffers gave students a simple assignment. Go home and genuinely say thank you to family. They found it incredibly hard. Distinct discomfort.
Lottie, married 25 years, said, "Why should I say thank you? He should be glad I'm there."
So telling, right? Exposes a hidden barter system in many relationships. Transactionality we're often unaware of.
We expect something back.
Most of us operate this way, Jeffers found, rarely giving time, effort, affection, without unconsciously expecting something: money, appreciation, love, praise, recognition. The problem: if all you're giving is about getting, think how fearful you will become.
Creates fear of lack, like the world owes.
Exactly, a crib mentality. Even as adults, we fear our needs won't be met for food, money, love, praise. Leads to manipulation, inability to genuinely give from abundance.
So this fear-based withholding is pretty universal.
Very. But here's the paradox Jeffers offers about genuine giving. The more you give away, the more comes back to you. More than we could have ever imagined.
But the catch-22.
It's easy to give when you feel abundant, but you only feel that way when you give, not before. So the instruction is the same mantra. Feel the fear and do it anyway. Take the leap. Give even when you feel you don't have enough.
What are concrete steps to foster this giving spirit and heal past hurts that block it?
First, list all gifts, tangible, intangible, you've received. Then systematically thank people. A call, a letter, just acknowledging their contribution.
And for people you're estranged from or hold grievances against.
A profound healing exercise. Visualize them. Surround them with healing white light. Genuinely wish them well. Thank them for whatever they contributed, positive or negative, to your growth.
That sounds incredibly challenging if there's deep hurt.
It is. Jeffers shares her own struggle with an ex-colleague who'd upset her greatly. Initially, shocked at the anger and resentment. Couldn't wish him well.
But she worked through it.
Slowly. Released anger. Connected with her own pain. Realized pain often turned to anger at herself. Forgave herself, then forgave him. Saw them both as human, doing their best then. This process is vital. Holding on to negativity carries it into the present, can even cause physical illness.
So saying thank you isn't just manners, it's deeply transformative.
Exactly. Brings personal pleasure, shifts consciousness from lack to abundance. You count and your thanks count, Jeffers stresses. Start casually at work, daily interactions, thank you for that. Proactively thank others.
And as you transform internally, adopting this giving mindset, you change what you attract. Law of attraction.
Precisely. Core principle. You must become what you want to attract. Be the kind of person you would want to surround yourself with.
What if you give and get nothing back?
Jeffers clarifies. Often, it's because you were hardly giving with no expectations. It was a calculated con job, subtle manipulation, not unconditional love. If needs aren't met, move on with love, not resentment.
A powerful way to practice genuine giving is volunteering time.
Instantly takes you out of yourself. Helps operate from love, abundance, not ego or fear. David, her student volunteering at hospitals at Christmas, felt an opening up of his heart, moving beyond the petty.
Other examples.
A friend post-stroke cooking for the homeless found healing. A mother transformed her daughter's Christmas focus from receiving to giving through volunteering.
She distinguishes two kinds of volunteers, though.
Yes. Those giving from obligation, ego, look how good I am, often problematic. Versus those giving knowing they count, their contribution matters, diligent, joyful, loved. Her advice: if you don't believe you count, simply go around acting as if you do. The action shifts the belief.
What about giving away money? Hard for those fearing lack.
It's about loosening the scarcity mindset, trusting you'll have what you need. Within reason, balanced with prudence, start giving it away. Her friend writes, "Thank you," on bill payment checks. Fosters peace, paradoxically can lead to abundance. Not reckless spending, but abundant mindset.
And the Book of Abundance, to cultivate this?
Beautiful practice. Buy a nice notebook. List at least 150 positive things in your life, past and present, you're grateful for. Daily entries, every positive thing, big or small. Compliment, sunny sky, good food. Refer to it often, especially when feeling lack.
Lack is only in the mind. It is about love.
Exactly. Even poor people she knew had remarkable abundance and contribution. It's internal, not external.
And the affirmation for abundance.
I release my fear of lack and accept the abundance and prosperity of the universe. Repeat it when fear about money or resources hits. Brings peace, reminds you abundance is already here. Ultimately, when you're a genuine giver, you have nothing to fear. You are powerful and you are loving.
The trick isn't what you can get, but what you can give. Like Shaw said, being used for a mighty purpose.
That's the true joy.
This feels deeply spiritual.
Yeah.
Where does this limitless power and love come from? Jeffers talks about the higher self.
Yes. This inner place, this source, inner self, superconscious, God self. Jeffers prefers higher self, implying moving above ego, fear, hate, scarcity. Contains creativity, intuition, trust, love, joy, inspiration, caring, giving, everything we truly long for.
And feeling alienated, lonely, empty is a clue we're disconnected.
She calls it divine homesickness. We mistakenly seek relief externally, new relationship, job, stuff. True correction lies in aligning with this inner spiritual part. Modern society focuses on body, mind, neglects spirit.
And spiritual doesn't have to mean religious.
Not necessarily dogma, just tapping into this inherently loving, kind, abundant, joyful inner space, accessible to everyone.
What does experiencing the higher self feel like practically?
Those moments, giving brings tears of joy. Being overwhelmed by a sunset's beauty. Looking beyond someone's ugly behavior to see their pain, feel compassion, heart swelling at collective good, like the Olympics closing ceremony, sensing unity.
Pure moments of power and love, separate from ego.
Yes. And when miracles happen, a parent lifting a car off a child, that immense power comes from this deep inner reservoir.
So it's about shifting our internal operating system.
Exactly. Simple model. Conscious mind, subconscious mind, higher self, universal energy. Conscious mind gives orders to subconscious.
Which carries them out via body, emotions, intellect.
Right. I am weak and unworthy, manifests weakness, depression. I am strong and worthy, yields empowering results. And the subconscious connects to universal energy.
Which brings back what you asked for. Law of attraction.
Like tracks like negative attracts negative, positive attracts positive.
Yeah. This ties back perfectly to the level 3 fear. I can't handle it.
Yes. When you realize you're connected to something infinitely bigger, you're not alone. Your power magnifies, fears diminish. Trusting intuition, your connection to higher self, leads to miracles, like her new school story.
That intuitive pull leading her exactly where needed, when needed. How do we develop intuition? Discern it from the chatterbox.
Start paying attention to stray thoughts, quiet nudges. Act on them. Call so-and-so. Call them. Go here. Go. Practice helps differentiate the calm guide from anxious chatter. Also, ask your subconscious for solutions before sleep. Trust answers will come.
And centering yourself when rattled.
When upset, anxious, wanting a job desperately, feeling life depends on it, the chatterbox pulls you off center. Use grounding techniques. Say, this job is not my life. All answers are within me. It's happening perfectly. Nothing to fear.
All relaxing your body.
Yes. Affirming words plus physical relaxation brings calm, pulls you back to your source of power.
So the ultimate key insight is,
if we do not consciously and consistently focus on the spiritual part of ourselves, we will never experience the kind of joy, satisfaction, safety, and fulfillment that is available to us. The contribution box keeps you aligned, infused with purpose. Explore metaphysics, Jung, Assagioli, guided visualization tools to access higher self. Transcend the chatterbox.
We've covered so much transformation today, but it's clear this isn't a quick fix. Jeffers really stresses it's a lifelong journey. Patience with our own growth is key.
Yes. That analogy about her son impatiently watching the seed pot, expecting an instant flower, perfect. We want instant results. But profound change often happens internally, unseen for a while.
Like the log on smoldering embers.
Yeah.
Suddenly bursting into flame.
Patience means knowing transformation will happen, giving it time and space.
So life isn't a destination, it's an ongoing learning process.
Exactly. Shed that disgruntling sense that you haven't made it yet. Joy is in the challenge, the process of figuring it out. Trust your feelings. If your path isn't bringing joy, satisfaction, creativity, love, caring, it's not the right path now. Ask, what else can I try?
But remember, changing externals won't change internals. Your mind changes first.
Right. Her mountain climbing analogy is powerful.
The climb is tough, but the view gets more spectacular higher up.
Yes. Brings detachment from heaviness. feel lighter, freer. Higher vantage point brings compassion, seeing the magnificent interior place, even in flawed behavior. Growth isn't linear. Sometimes you consolidate. Aha! Moments come from prior subconscious work.
Humility is key. I've come a long way. Maybe.
Yeah.
Always more to learn.
And she beautifully weaves this into aging. Youth rarely grasps the wisdom age allows. We need life experiences to bring inner power forward fully. Perceiving ourselves as unfolding makes aging beautiful, not something to resist.
This reminds me so much of her quote from The Velveteen Rabbit about becoming real. It sums it up perfectly.
Quintessential summary. Skin Horse explains to the rabbit, "Does it hurt?" "Sometimes," says the horse. "When you are real, you don't mind being hurt."
Authenticity earned through experience. Pain is part of it, but doesn't diminish you once real.
Doesn't happen all at once, but bit by bit, over a long time. Once real, you can't be ugly, except to people who don't understand. Captures the pain, gradual nature, ultimate authenticity.
So if joy is the goal, as Rollo May suggests, it's not just fleeting happiness.
May said, every organism has one central need to fulfill its own potentialities. Joy isn't just happiness. It's the lasting result of using our powers fully.
Characterized by lightness, humor, laughter, gaiety.
Enlightened people laugh at themselves, are fluid, resilient, not brittle.
This has been an incredibly illuminating, detailed, deep dive. So many practical tools, insightful perspectives. Her final call to action is so clear.
It is perfect encapsulation. Say yes to life, participate, move, act, write, read, sign up, take a stand, or do whatever it takes for you. Get involved in the process. Urgent, direct invitation to active, courageous, ongoing engagement with growth and life. #outro.
We've really peeled back the layers today, haven't we? Dissecting fear, indecision, anger, and discovering how to meticulously transform them into power, action, and love.
We went from understanding the 3 levels of fear, through that liberating truth, fear isn't going away, you just learn to handle it, to the revelation that the only way to conquer the fear is to just do it.
We redefined power as internal, learned to shift our vocabulary from pain to power, choosing words that empower. We explored expanding comfort zones, one risk at a time.
And took that deep dive into taking responsibility for our experiences, understanding hidden payoffs, cultivating a positive mindset through daily practices and affirmations.
And we tackled the challenges of growth, navigating resistance from others, the critical need for a support system, then mastering decisions with the no-lose model.
Viewing every choice as learning, embracing life as an ongoing curriculum of growth, adaptation, correction.
Finally, the whole life approach, committing 100% to all areas for richness and completeness.
And tapping into deeper sources, power, love, trust through genuine giving, connecting with our higher self, universal energy. It's all a testament to patience, humility, the lifelong journey of becoming real.
Remember that core message. The fear isn't disappearing, but you absolutely can handle it. And the most empowering truth, the only way to diminish the fear of doing something is to courageously go out and do it.
So as we wrap up, here's a final thought for you to mull over. If every single experience, including pain, discomfort, perceived failures, is truly an opportunity for growth and learning, what hidden lessons, what profound gifts might be waiting for you in the very challenges you're trying so hard to avoid right now? What untapped power, what immense potential could you unlock if you fully embrace the idea that you are always capable of finding the wisdom, finding the gift in all experiences, no matter how daunting they first appear?